haven't heard, you know, you all heard of Ave Maria. There's 5 more going out there. 5 more. You'll see the stats on those, what they look like. Then everywhere I go, the first complaint or first concern I hear from the folks is our roads. Well, guess what? I got the same concern. They're a disaster. We have some long-term fixes, but roads have a unique problem. They take a lot of money to build them on a per mile basis, and they take a lot of time just to get it done and acquire the land. So we got a plan. Our roads could be good. They're going to be good, but right now we're going to be struggling for a while. And then why we have some good news in Collier County. We are still, I moved here 42 years ago because I thought it was the greatest place in the world. I've been everywhere in the world, but in my opinion it was. And right now, if I had to move here again, I still would. So we're going to see it all. And that's a disclaimer. Because of the position I retain as chairman of the Planning Commission, I have to vote on projects and make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. In this presentation, I'm not taking a political position or any position. I'm simply saying, here's what's coming through the door, and those things can change. Example, Aldi's was going to go on an intersection in one corner on the northwest side one year. The next year, I pulled up the record, they had moved to the southeast side. So things like that will happen. I just give the latest information I have at the time I put these together. I put this information together generally over the summer of each year. Which takes us to the first one. What is Collier County? Well, we have 5 political districts in Collier County. Each one has about 70,000 people. They're different sizes geographically, in fact, completely different. That's Donna Fiala's, and within her district, she's got the city of Marco Island. And you'll see the population of Marco is less than 20,000. When I show you the other municipalities, you'll be surprised. Andy Solis is District 2. Now, that's one district with 70,000 people. That's one district with 70,000 people. So those people in North Naples are going to feel more cramped, but then that's part of the density and growth issue on developable land. Out here, a lot of this is preservation. That's why it's larger. It has to obtain more area for people. Golden Gate City, Bert Saunders. Population of Golden Gate City is 24,000. Golden Gate is not a city. We call it Golden Gate City because it's a subdivision called Golden Gate City, but they don't elect their own officials. Marco Island does. But look at that. A subdivision within the county is greater in population than Marco and greater in population than the city of Naples. So someday Golden Gate City, just by population, could incorporate. They haven't yet because they don't have the tax base to help them. And District 4 is Penny Taylor. Her district includes the city of Naples. Then the biggest district is all this. That's Commissioner Bill McDaniels. He has Immokalee, which is bigger than any of our cities, but it's just a giant urban area. It's a subdivision. It is not a city. Ave Maria is called the city of Ave Maria, or town of Ave Maria, but it's not a town yet. They don't elect their own people. They are under the umbrella of Collier County. Their first phase will build out greater than any of the other cities down here. And in case you didn't know it, Everglades City, 408 people. That used to be the county seat. If you haven't been to Everglades City, it's a great town. I was vice president of the Chamber of Commerce there for 4 years back in the old days. And it was a blast down there. Fishing was great, everything was nice. It's still a good little town, but it's very limited in how fast it can grow. We look at some of the other issues. We got almost 383,000 people coming in 2020, and that covers 2,305 square miles. We are the largest county in the state of Florida. There are 67 counties. We are the biggest, about 1.5 million acres in size. Now, we can really fill that county up if we could. I'm not saying we want to, but the difference is all that green area is permanent preservation. 77% of Collier County cannot have subdivisions, cannot have homes. Well, you can have one home for like 40 acres or big numbers like that, but you're really not going to see urbanization of any of that green area. So, the remaining area, the orange, those are what are called the entitled areas, or unentitled in case they haven't been rezoned. But that's about 25% of the county. That's all of the areas in Collier County that can be developed. We're what's called a constrained county. There was a study done on that by the state of Florida. So when people do move here, they got to cram into that area. So yeah, we're going to feel tighter. As time goes on, densities will add more population to here. And right now we have 383,000 people. In the future, far beyond my time frame, will be in the future, by the way, this build out is about 60 years. So by then they're looking at over 1 million people. But that's not going to happen in my lifetime or many of us right here today. So what did the state of Florida do? They took a look at how the state's building out and how many constrained counties there are. They come back with a study last year. Basically, that's Collier County. And this is where they're geographically constrained, like we are, 77%, can't build it. Where did we rank? Out of, there are 12 counties that were constrained. We're number 10 on the list. And this is what's unique. People say, well, we hope we're never going to get like Miami. We physically cannot. Miami's density, because they started years and years ago in different rules. They're at 31,000 people per census block. We're at 12. The only way to get to Miami's density, we'd have to bulldoze down all the gated communities, and that's just not going to happen. So we're going to get tighter. We're going to feel a little more uncomfortable the way things are, but we'll never get as bad as Miami. Here's one of the studies we did. This one is the population, and this is in the next 20 years, they expect over 500,000 people will be living in Collier County. That compares to 373 people now, and brings in about 7,600 people per year. Now, that equates to the number of new houses. We did a study of, basically, if you got that many people coming in, how many houses are we going to have? We're looking at about 300,000 homes. Right now, we have about 219. There's your 219 right there. Now, that's an average of about 3,300 homes per year. Well, last year, the numbers came in, and what we did, that's not 2019, last year is 2018. 2019's numbers aren't out yet. But in 2018, in spite of Irma and the slowdown that caused, we still exceeded that average. I'll show you that in a minute. This is Lending Tree. Lending Tree did an analysis. This is where these people are coming from. And all their remortgaging. Looked at the country and said 15 out of 50 states, the remortgages by the majority are coming to Florida. So that's, if you want, we're mostly Midwesterners right here. Of course, Texas has got, in fact, my sister's visiting. She's from Texas, but she's not staying. But we've got quite a few people. We're the biggest state, biggest draw in the country. These are subdivisions that were approved in 2018 and prior years. 2018 was the slowest of all these years, and it was the slowest because we were coming out of Irma. We were repairing what was damaged before we put in new subdivisions, so it slowed down. 2019 numbers won't come out until next month. That's how it breaks down by commission district. East Naples was the biggest, and it's been the biggest for the last 4 years. Every year, East Naples has got the most popularity when it comes to new homes. Now, this area, which is the rural area, never had much activity. That's its second this year, which has never done that before, and it's all because of Ave Maria. Ave Maria's got a huge amount of new builders in there. They're seeing a good response to their market, and they have a lot of stuff going on. We look at where the permitting occurs. This is what I was telling you. The number of units in 2018, even though it was an Irma impacted year, we still had almost 9% over the average that I just talked about earlier. And see all these little dots? That's Golden Gate Estates. There are 30,000 lots in Golden Gate Estates. Half of them are built on. I'm sorry, give me the wrong number. 25,000 lots, half are built on. There's 30,000 people living there right now. That means another 30,000 people will be living in Golden Gate Estates alone. That's nothing compared to what's going on out here. By the way, and you can see all the activity they have. So apartment inventory, folks always ask about apartments. I'm going to give you the summary here so you can see it better. We're at about 12,000 on the ground apartments now. Last year was 11,700, so we've kicked that up. In process, last year was about 38 or 39. We've got 4,300 in process, even after some moved over to this column. So the market is moving rapidly with more apartments. Now the first question always is, are they affordable? No. Very, very few are affordable. The market's just not dictating a basis for the developers to pick on affordable housing. Incentivization and density isn't enough, and that's all we seem to offer. When we look at commercial projects, this is the same situation we had. The slowest year was 2018, again because of Irma, and of all the areas in the county, East Naples for the 4th year in a row had the most commercial projects. But look at this, only 8 projects out east. And this is Ave Maria up here, nothing Ave Maria. Well, that's because the commercial goes well after the rooftops. So as soon as Ave Maria subdivisions get built and they get the COs, there's going to be a lot of activity in commercial out here because all the new towns and villages are required to put commercial in. Which takes us to the general map of the county and areas we're going to look at, 1 through 13. We're going to start out east, work to the coast, and work our way south. These are the areas where some of the bigger items have occurred over the past 12 to 15 months. But out number 1, that's Ave Maria. Those are the purple ones are the 5 new towns that are in process to be reviewed and forwarded to the Board of County Commissioners for final decision by the end of 2020. This one up here came in, but they haven't submitted anything yet. But these 3 are actually active processes. So we're going to have Ave Maria, which is a town. These are qualified as what called villages. They're smaller. They're just, there's 5 of them, so it's pretty good. So by the time you get done, they've got a lot of activity. When you look at the potential size of those areas, if they all were to get approved, including Ave Maria, out east, it's about 11,000 acres. There's almost 3 million square feet of commercial, including Ave Maria, which carries the bulk of it. And then the in-process units, about 25,000. If you use the census number on persons per household as an average across Collier County, you're looking at just under 63,000 people out east. Now, the build-out of these people in these towns and these villages occurs over 10 years. So it's not all going to happen right away. It'll give us time for the roads and water and sewer and other things to keep up with it. But it'll gradually work in. And as these are being processed, there could be more coming in. It just depends on what the market's dictating at the time. As we'll start out east, take a look at some of these. That's Ave Maria. There's your stats in Ave Maria, about 5,000 acres. That is the first phase of Ave Maria. That's the town plan. The yellow is the residential. This is the university. And down here is the Arthrex processing plant they just put in out there. I believe they have hundreds of employees. The potential, the base out there has worked out real well to get the town going with subdivisions and homes. So it's moving much faster than it did earlier. Over here is Hyde Park. This is in for final review by the Planning Commission, then it goes to the Board of County Commissioners. 1,800 units. It's a village, not a town. They've got a commercial component in the southeast corner, right there, with some mixed use. This is multifamily, and then a regular single family in this area. Right next to them, in that yellow area, generally, you might have heard of Rural Lands West. Rural Lands West came in on January 1st of last year and said, we're not going to do a town anymore. They're going to do a town in this area here, and they said, we're going to do villages instead. The difference is the impact, the infrastructure, the upfront costs. In the town, you got to put more roads, more of this, more of that. And in the village, it's a much smaller bite. So they're taking it in bite-sized chunks. The first one has been recently approved. It's called Rivergrass. It's about 1,000 acres. It can't go over 1,000. And about 2,500 units. It has a golf course in it. By the way, there's a golf course going in out in Ave Maria, too. That's the location of it. After they came in with that one, they also came in with one right next to it. It's Longwater. It's in for review. There's one down here called Belmar. That's in for review. They're all about the same size as far as acres go. They vary a little bit in dwelling units and resident and commercial. But the towns and villages out east are all required now to have commercial go in with them. And that's so that folks out east don't all drive in on the Mockley Road and Pine Ridge and come along and shop in your area. They can shop out east. Those take a lot of traffic off the road. So hopefully it'll work out that way. Orange Tree area has got a lot of activity. That's Orange Tree right there. They had a new public school in right here. This piece across the Mockley Road was swapped with the county. That used to be a county property, and new developers now has it. They're going to put in 500,000 square feet of commercial there with 300 residential units. That's shown some interest by the adjoining property. Going to do some commercial projects in these areas here. Then right down here is a larger request for 156,000 square feet of commercial. And this is the Publix is right here, so it's right across the street. I don't know what uses are going to go in there yet, but that's in for review. Over here is a church site that's been purchased a long time ago. I think it's a Catholic church site too, if I'm not mistaken. And right there is the existing charter school. That's important because that has driven the need for other projects down here. I'll show you in the next slide. The North Naples Park, that great big water park, well, they finally got one going in out east for the people there. This is going to be in north part of Orange Street. This is phase 1. I don't remember the value, but it's millions of dollars, but it's in an area that all these people benefit from. A little bit to the east of that is a project that started out with 1,600 acres, or 1,600 units. The market's really attracting a lot of people out there, so they want another 350 at that location. And up here, that mine is one of the new villages that's going in. Now, this is a village in a different part of the eastern area, so it can be larger. It's 2,548 acres with about 4,000 units and a mix of commercial and office. That's one of the site plans. I don't know if it's the last one. This is the commercial area right here, which will be on the Mockley Road. As we move west along Mockley Road, there's a project there for residential and commercial. A big project here. If you've been out on the Mockley Road and see all that dirt being dug up, it's called Brentwood Lakes, south of Eagle Creek, Twin Eagles. 853 units. It was platted and approved probably a decade and a half ago, and then finally the market's, I guess, ripe, so the developer felt the need to go forward, and they are. Right here is a site that was cleared. I drove out. I couldn't remember why it was cleared, so I looked it up. It's because it's a school board. The school board doesn't need permits from the county. they build their schools under state statute and state rules, so they're building an elementary school out here, which is, you know, that right out here is where that charter school is. So that's another thing that probably shown interest by the school board to get a school out that way. Church site's being looked at right here. It'll be a little different. It's got a residential units mixed with it. And right next to it, this one's in for review, 77 single family going in that location. Right there is a big shopping center. This is at Montley Road and Collier Boulevard across from Heritage Bay. They came in, got approved for the mix you see, and they already got a bunch of lots sold or leased or however they're contracting them out. A lot of building permits in for site plans for these parcels right here. And again, whatever goes here is gonna stop people from going further. They'll just go here. So in the end, the commercial out east, if we're gonna have residential, the commercial's a good thing. It'll keep a lot of the traffic off our roads, at least that's the hope. Right there's some apartments going in, 286, and right south of that, Aldi's. Aldi's has got 4 locations in the county right now, and did you read this? I was just reading an article this morning. Well, lower your blood pressure and a whole bunch of other things. They're saying now it's a good thing to take high-density chocolate, dark chocolate, have a little bit each day. So, and the reason Aldi's factors in, Aldi's got the best price and the highest density chocolate I've ever found. I've been there all the time. It's supposed to help your memory too. Southbrook Medical Center, their sign's up, they're approved for this location. This is Golden Gate Estates, that's Oaks Boulevard right here, so it's right across from Quail Creek up in that area. Over here, Rushton Point, just north of the Golden Gate Nursery, well under construction. They're putting their lights in, their infrastructure and all that. Down here is a strip mall that's just about complete. In fact, their signs are up now. It looks like they've topped some of them out. In the back is the residential units, 52 units, and I've been told they're going to be affordable. So that'll be one of the affordable locations. And right there, Toll Brothers has got quite a bit of their front end work done on the 951 villas. It's 148 units and along 951. As we go a little bit further west, if you go up Livingston Road, you'll notice there's a road that stops right about here. Well, they're finally making that connection through, and it wasn't even on our books. It's going to go to Old 41 first, and now they're telling me they might just punch it through and take it all the way to New 41 in one phase. I couldn't figure out why the rush. Well, the school again. The next high school site is going to be right there. So students that go to Gulf Coast and Naples will be working they're going to rework all these districts up here and relocate students out to that location. I asked them for the plan. They don't want to show it yet. I guess those relocation, when you take students out of their schools and move them around, they get real touchy. So the school board's going to handle that on their own. Right next to that, there's been some interest in this project was approved in '82 for 430 multifamily, but they see the market being a single family, so they're requesting a change. Up there is a memory care facility going in next to one empty parcel with Summit Church going into the north side of it. And this is that controversial project at one time called Lura. They were putting in 340 apartments at Livingston and Veterans Memorial. That did get approved, and that's part of this whole congestion in this area that's going in up here. And of course, there's projects down here that we're going to be talking about in a minute. Collier Bay, over along the beach, there's only a few high-rise projects in Collier County left. Collier Bay was one that was approved back in 1990, I believe, and has been slowly moving through the process. The market's right, so they're moving ahead with their high-rises. And their high-rises are looking like this. The first one is occupied, CO'd and done. The second one is, I believe it's sold. I know it's well out of the ground, if not topped out, and they're starting some sales on this one. Then they'll go to these others, a total of 590 units. The last building's got a little less than these because it's lower, and there's a golf course going across the street. It's been cleared, they're in process for permitting. That's the third of the 3 golf courses under review in Collier County right now.
Can I ask you a question, just quick?
Sure.
Is there a limitation to how high the units can be and how many?
200 feet. And the limitation in quantity is 590 in the 5 buildings.
590.
590 units total in the 5 buildings, 120 units per building. The last building's a little less than that because it's a couple stories shorter.
100, what did you say in the first, in one building?
120.
120 in one building.
Yeah, that's not uncommon.
Isn't it? Oh.
You'll see some more coming up here in a minute.
Wow.
Montier Road West, I-75, Bay House, if you've gone to dinner up there, they have a great restaurant. They're doing another one, I don't know if they're doing another one or expanding the one that's there, but they've asked for 400 more seats. And they got a hotel going right there. And if you want an inexpensive Ferrari, that's Walmart. I can only figure they must be going next to Walmart because it's going to be a discount.
Yeah.
Right there is Arthrex's hotel. It's where their doctors that come in and want to use their, trained to use their equipment. That's the hotel that they're going to put them up at. And across the street, this is just something came in just recently, 300 multifamily. This is the hospital location. Looking at 300 multifamily behind the Bone Hook and the other restaurants going in at that location. Over here is another hotel. It's all, they're finishing off the inside. It's next to Walmart, I-75 and Mockley Road. And now we're going to talk about that area right there, and I bet you know a little bit about it. You know where I'm going. Seed to Table. Alfie Oaks has spent quite a few years trying to get Seed to Table opened up. I believe he's got about $30 million into it. It was an Albertsons grocery store. He bought it. He wanted it to be something that wasn't typical. So he flew all over the country, got all kinds of design ideas, and I haven't been in it when it's been finished. I was in it under construction. I could see it was going to be something not like any grocery store we've seen before. He's got a mezzanine in here, and that's one of the key components of the changes. The mezzanine's going to be restaurant seating for about 300 folks, and the restaurants will cook all kinds of food that are sold right there at the place. So you go there for dinner, all kinds of shopping. Done a nice job. He's going to employ about 400 people. Grocery store that size would normally employ 165, but he's got so many other activities in there. He had to go ahead and get additional parking for his employees across the street, and it's at that location right there. Down south of that, just in the same area, there's a luxury car dealership going in. We have a lot of dealerships going in. They haven't put a name on that one yet. Right next to it's a high-density project going through the process right now. It's just started recently. And just south of that, this project is just finishing up its processing. It's a mix of senior living or residential units. They haven't decided which, but they got two site plans. If we move a little bit right along the coast, the parking garage, remember that at Pine Ridge? It was right down the road here. They decided, and it was going to double the parking spaces. Now, one sport I have left, I had to give up my boat because I couldn't launch because the boat facilities were all tramps are jammed all the time. So I started kayaking, and I used to kayak out here. That garage was the only thing that worried me. I'm glad it's not going in because now I can drive under that without it there and still make it and launch. So they voted down the garage. I think that was a good thing, and they're going to look at other ways of helping the beach access. Down here, you've seen all that construction on Pine Ridge and Goodlet Road. This is what it's going to look like. It's 325 apartments. So folks that own Mercado, some of those are partners in this venture. So I'm assuming it's going to be high-end. It's going to be what's called Magnolia Square. And it's well along. Up here is next to the Greek Orthodox Church on Orange Blossom Way. 508 senior living facilities. It's going to be a community, Erickson Communities. You go as you progress in age, you have all the facilities there to stay right at that location. I did ask them when they came in what it cost to enter one of those places. It's $500,000 a person on average, so they're expensive. Down here, activity on Pine Ridge Road, a lot of it. We'll talk about that next. I use Physicians Regional right across the street. If you're going to see doctors there, they're going to be building a physician center across the street for most of their doctors, and that'll be their Catalyst Center, 100,000 square feet. They're in for permitting. Florida Core is in for a permit at this location, right across, caddy corner across from them. And right next to that, under construction, is a senior living facility with 64 units. And next to that, you see that building coming out of the ground. It's a 99-room hotel. Over here along the beach, this is a high-rise project up here, and there's another one down here we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about Pine Ridge Road. We all drove Pine Ridge possibly to get here today, at least I know I did. And you may want to avoid Pine Ridge for a while. Even after it's done, you really got to figure this out. We have 3 changes we're going to make to Pine Ridge, in those 3 areas there. We'll start with number 1. And this is issues that have come up because we've got a sales tax passed, so there's been some extra money. They've been designing these, and these work here, they're proposed possibly for a Mockley Road as well. That's called a divergent diamond. What happens is when cars start approaching the interchange, they change sides and go back over. Now, it seems confusing. I talked to the sheriff's department, and they tell me it works. There are some nuances to it. This is what it's supposed to do, is reduce the amount of traffic lights because you can merge on and off. And that works fine, except if you're a tourist coming over here, there's a site food mart over here. So he's heading over to the site to get some, the racetrack, I'm sorry, right there. Used to be site, boy, that's H&E. But we're making a lot of changes when you go past I-75, this is Whippoorwill Lane right here. This little gray area is what we're changing. That's gonna take that intersection, and now you can come out of Whippoorwill and make a left. You can come out of this area and make a left. You can get back on the interchange. You won't be able to do that anymore when this design's done. So what does that mean for that guy in that red car? Well, he's happy, he thinks he's gonna zip right back on I-75, but he doesn't know it. He's gotta come out of here, cross 3 lanes of traffic, make a U-turn against 3 lanes of traffic, and get back on I-75. And I don't think, but the key, I think, and I noticed our economic development department had input in this. And they figured if they get this guy so confused, he stays, gets a hotel room, buys food. Down in Whippoorwill, Whippoorwill's gonna, if you wanna make a left on a Whippoorwill, so if you're down all these homes down here, you're not gonna be making a left, you're gonna be going this route. Now, this road right here, Whippoorwill Lane, is gonna be connected to a road over by Marbella Lakes. And the two roads, once they're open, will be a bypass route for people going in either one of these directions. My assumption is if you're gonna make a right on Pine Ridge, you'll probably use this road to go up here and pick up your right and go that way. If you're gonna make a left, you're not gonna go here, you're probably gonna go down here and make a right instead. So that'll split the traffic up, and that's about 18 to 24 months before this loop right here is completed. Pine Ridge and Livingston, this is called a flow-through intersection, something new in Collier County. Normally we get to the intersections and make our lefts and rights. When this gets done, you'll be making a right turn going west, a little bit ahead of the intersection. But if you're going south on Livingston, you're going to be crossing the lanes of traffic, going opposite to the lanes of traffic, then back over into your right lane after you go through. You go east and west, that's just another right turn. But if you're going north on Livingston, you're going to run into not only a left going across the lanes of traffic, but also a U-turn movement like that.
How many people is that gonna kill?
Well, I got the concession for the bleacher stands, so I'm going to keep track. Yes, ma'am.
Is anybody concerned about the water supply for all this development?
That's, when we get to the end, I'll be glad to address that. I have a whole presentation just on water. But our water supply is coming from several different aquifers that are monitored yearly. And we monitor them for a go-ahead for 20 years. And right now, the water tables are not only holding where they're at, some of them are increasing. So our water supply and even our sewers are now all interconnected. Those two elements of our infrastructure are as good as they're going to get. It's not, those aren't our issues. It's the changes to the projected density that might be an issue, and the road system is obviously an issue for a lot of us.
Have they seen this somewhere, or are they making this up?
No, this is all, it's kind of, traffic engineers are a mystical group.
I know.
I sit in my meetings with them and I try to argue with them, and they'll pull all these ideas out and we'll talk in circles. But they believe this will increase the flow-through ability of Pine Ridge Road, and these are supposed to
And
help.
it operates somewhere in the country, they've seen this somewhere?
I understand that, that's why they call it flow-through intersection.
Yeah.
Flow-through intersection, yeah.
One place up on one floor that has the exact layout, but there's only one place.
Well, the sheriff's department told me they've experienced these already in other places. I asked the traffic engineers at one meeting if U-turns are as safe as left turns, and they said, no, they're not. But yet, the U-turns do increase the traffic flow as long as there's not accidents, so I'm assuming they're gonna be coming in with a series of lights to help people stop and go. Yes, ma'am?
Atlanta has a lot of those type of things.
Oh, do they? Yeah, it's bigger city stuff, yeah.
And how do they work? Pretty good, do they? Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Has all of this money been budgeted?
Yeah.
I understand for the Pine Ridge Road, yes, and the sales tax actually helped create the money. I don't know for a Immokalee one. What I was told lately was that if these work and they seem to go okay, they're gonna duplicate them because Immokalee Road's a mess right now, and that's where they're, I think they're
One of the options, and the one that Windermere people voted for, was an overpass.
Yes.
But they turned that down because it was $20 million more than this particular layout.
Most likely. Overpasses, you'll see we have 4 of them in Collier County. One's being paid for by the DOT, the other 3 are being paid for by us. Ours are running about $45 million each, and I'll show you all those locations in a few minutes. Yes, ma'am?
What are the pipes in Livingston on the west side that are currently going in?
Those are gas pipes. Tico's putting gas, a lot of them out east along Pine Ridge and other places, yeah. Yes, sir?
So that blue line, is there a light there that gets you across the ongoing traffic, or you're waiting to cut traffic?
Well, there'd be a light right here. Then you'd be able to go through, or the light right here, one or the other, these would be synchronized. Yeah, they're gonna have a series of lights, to accommodate all these movements.
Yeah.
So, just supposed to, once you slow the, every time someone slows the traffic down that intersection, it supposedly backs up at a longer rate than if you do it earlier, so I think that's what the objective is. And you got longer stacking lanes in some of these too, so.
Yeah.
That takes us to,
When's that supposed to happen?
it's in design right now. I left the county last month, so I'm not sure that, I haven't been updated on the timeframes. I eventually will, but I don't have it right now. As we get into the north part of Pelican Bay, if, that's a County Beach access points, that's the Ritz-Carlton. Ritz-Carlton's adding 74 units to the south of its tower, and to the north of Vanderbilt Beach Road, that's the location right there. And to the north, the developer is producing a project here called Naples One. It's his second rendition. The first one had one large building for the most part. He went back out to the community. They came back in. They're doing 5 smaller buildings now. Their height's going to range somewhere between 200 and 235 feet. I don't know if all of them or one of them. I haven't seen any. This is all I've seen. So, other than the stats, 240 units. There's going to be a hotel and a commercial operation. Yes, sir.
You mentioned Pelican Bay and one Naples. Vanderbilt Beach, Immokalee, and Seagate, I believe, are defined as 3 failed roads.
They're called
Whatever that means.
constrained roads is what they don't use those. Okay, but there's
What is
there's a difference. Is the reason I'm trying to clarify.
But that suggests that they're pretty loaded now and there are problems. How can you go ahead and look at an additional 240 units with one Naples, and in light of the fact that there's going to be, they have traffic problems now and they're going to increase by 3,000 round trips a day according to the developer's stock. I'm just a little puzzled because
Well, I can only tell you.
the traffic south through other areas, particularly Pelican Bay, to get to Vanderbilt Beach.
I can tell you the part of it that I know about now. And I have not read the stats on Naples One or any of the other projects until they come to the Planning Commission. They will have to show by their traffic analysis that this road here can accommodate the traffic. They don't have failed roads as much as they have constrained roads. Once a road's deemed a failure, the statutes require the municipality to fix it within a certain time frame. So we tend to.
Say that word again, once it's a
Once it's a failure, it has to be fixed within a certain number of years. You can't just have a failed road and then turn around and put a moratorium and tell people they can't build when they have property rights. So that's the difference between a failed road and a constrained road. In a constrained road, it will feel like a failed road, but there are already things on the books that can be used to improve any additional traffic added to the road. That's the part that I've not seen, Naples Ones, for example, or any of these. How they're showing their traffic.
Wouldn't that be a challenge? Because one of the obvious solutions is just add more lanes, and I don't think that kind of option exists west.
Well, when the reason that Vanderbilt Beach Road is constrained is it's real hard to put more lanes there. But I don't know what they've said, and I don't want to prejudge where they're going to hold. I want to wait and see.
It grabbed my attention last indicated it's going to be 3029, which is a very exact number of additional round trips on that direction on the road. That's going to be.
And I'm sure traffic will be one of the things we'll be focusing on. We go further into Pelican Bay. This is Water Park Place, St. Raphael, Cap Ferrand, 2 sites in between. Each site will have 81 units. Each site will have its own building. Site 1 is completed. That's the building. It's closed. People are moving in. I asked the developer, what was the average sale price of the units in here? $5 to $6 million. So if you want to look at it, help for our tax base, these are occupied very little during the year. So the impact is minor compared to the amount of taxes we're getting out of them. That's a benefit. The other one, site, I haven't seen no plans on that yet.
So why do you think you drive for that high? Seriously, you might live in New York City if that's the case.
Well, all along the coast, 200 was established as the height decades before I came here.
I mean, we've got a limit down here.
Well, I know in Naples you do, but it's a different municipality.
Yeah, too bad.
In the county, it's always been 200 feet. I don't know where it generated from, but I know it's been like that for forever, for as long as I've been here, so.
Yeah.
Did you
Get
say
out.
that the second building is not scheduled yet?
Well, it's not that I know. I mean, they may have scheduled it early, but I don't know about it yet.
Okay.
Who is the developer?
Gulf Bay Group of Companies.
Which one?
Gulf Bay Group of Companies. Nichols Medical Center up in the north end of Golden Gate, we're finishing off the inside. It's a new medical center that we've needed out there. We haven't had a satellite hospital, but that'll be a good one. Right here, you've heard about the golf course that the county purchased for $29 million. That's the location. They have not decided on a final plan yet, although they're looking at different ideas. Golfing range, partial golf course, affordable housing, a veteran site, things like that. There's been no final decisions that I know of on that side. Down here is our sports park. It's supposed to be an amateur sports park. It's going to be about 128 acres total. This one actually got a little bit bigger. This is in the City Gate PUD, and this is in an old piece of property the county owns. Right here, 433 residential units. They just came in with residential because I think this is spurring a lot of residential, because right next to it, we're looking at 360 residential units. Down here, it's 425 residential units. And down here, Habitat's got a 79 residential unit project down that location. And down here, you've probably seen the old skeleton building sitting there, the phone all rusted out. That's actually been bought out. Look at that, first, or actually Sports Park first. Sports Park is being done in 2 phases. Phase 1 and Phase 2, these are the different properties. This is the City Gate, this is the county's property. When it gets all said and done, the stadium and field house are going to be in the first phase right over here, and all these will be open game fields. When it's finished, that's one of the renderings of what it might look like, and it's currently budgeted about $80 million coming out of Tourist Development Council tax money. Look about area 7 is the skeleton building, that's at I-75, and it is not going to be a BJ Wholesalers, it's going to be an exciting warehouse and delivery station. So it'll be either Amazon or FedEx or something like that. I don't know who yet. I did check and find out that the engineers designing this have done a lot of FedEx work, so maybe it's them, but they haven't put a name on it yet. And that takes us and changes potential Collier Boulevard. This is DOT's working on this, that's your I-75 interchange. First thing, that is where this warehouse is going to go. Right next to that, going up over Davis Boulevard, is going to be a dual overpass. And the reason for that is it's going to make right on and right off a lot more efficient and take out some more lights. At the same time, the DOT's putting a clover leaf, a partial clover leaf at the interchange. Again, right on both directions. That's supposed to reduce a lot of the traffic congestion in the area. And the design's going to be completed in 2023, and it'll take a couple years at least to complete the work afterwards. And we're looking at about a $74 million budget. Now, that one is scheduled because it's coming from state money. The state's paying for that. Later on, I'll show you the 3 counties paying for it, and they're not scheduled because we don't have the money yet. Golden Gate Parkway, as we move west of I-75, you might have seen this project under construction. It's Moorings Park at Grand Lake. That's what it'll look like when it's done, and actually it looks like that as we drive by it now. It's coming well along. Down here is the Briarwood Apartments, 340 units. This is at Radio Road, and this is Livingston. Ironically, this was going to be that man cave project. You may have heard about it a few years ago. People in Briarwood didn't want man caves. Man caves are storage facilities for exotic cars. The way they're set up is it's a single story with a little mezzanine. You can have a pool table, you can have a wet bar, and you have your car sitting there. Way beyond my means, so it's not something I'm familiar with, but they thought that would be more, this neighborhood here thought that would be more intense. So now they ended up with 340 units, which is probably a lot more intense than the storage facility we got. Up here is another apartment complex. This is across from Orchid Run that is being considered, but I believe the developer's got a hold up on a couple of parcels he's not been able to get, so that may not actually happen. Down a little bit further, down by near the skating rink, about an 80-unit memory care, there's a small commercial unit going in at southwest corner of Santa Barbara, Golden Gate Park. Getting near Gateway as we get near the city. This is in, you see all the dirt dug out, Lakewood and 41. It's for Collier University. When they came in, they had about 275 students they expected, now they got over 400 signed up. So we're being well received in East Naples. It's under construction. That controversial racetrack that used to be up at Palm at 41 moved down to Shadowlawn in 41. It's already open. They took a bunch of older places down. It seems to be doing fine. Right there is Porsche. Porsche came in last year. The reason I have it is they expanded to the east. They actually got the property on the corner that used to be Coons Oil. In doing so, the county got a right turn lane. Well, we also already had it down here. So right now, if you go down Airport Road, instead of squishing down to 2 lanes in either direction, it's 3 lanes in every direction, so the traffic flow through there is improved substantially. Behind that is a multi-store car condominium for exotic cars. Right next to that, a new dealership's added Alfa Romeo and Lotus at that location. And over here is a BMW dealership that's in for processing and approval right now. Right down there, two hot spots. This is the courthouse shadows across from the Collier County Government Center. This is Bay Shore Drive, interesting stuff on Bay Shore. Across from the Government Center, there's an old abandoned grocery store right there. This place is mostly empty right now. On the up north corner, Starbucks has opened up. A developer came in a few years back and it was Walmart. They wanted to put a BJ Wholesalers right there at this thing. So they got approved for 165,000 square feet. I don't mean BJ Wholesalers, Sam's Club. Walmart was gonna open a Sam's Club right there. About the time they started doing an internet delivery service to compete against Amazon, they pulled out of that capital improvement and notified the developer they weren't gonna go after all. Developers come in, he's got approval for a new 300 multifamily residential in his green area. That's been given a go. That's what it'll look like when it's completed. And they will be market ready. Gateway Triangle, this is now as we go down Bay Shore Drive. Have you all been to 360 Market? Becca Maddox does a good operation. Food was real good. So she came in one day and said, hey, I want to build a food truck park right there. What's a food truck park? Well, these are just food trucks, and that's a refreshment stand. So people run in, grab their sandwich, grab their refreshment, and leave. We only need 15 parking spaces. So if you've been down there, you know what happened. She was overwhelmed with success. The place was doing fabulous. So much so, she created a parking lot up here. It was illegally done to begin with. She just bulldozed down the property and let people park and try to salvage the mess that was occurring with all the attractions had. She subsequently came in, got it all spruced up. It looks really good now. It's one of the better market areas in Collier County. Across the street, she's looking at a wine tasting area with some retail and some residential by another developer on the south side of this location here. Down here is just the old engine repair. Microbrewery has replaced it. They just opened up not too long ago. And up across the way, this is the old Sarah Bay Marina. They're actually coming in and going to do some dry storage for 62 boats. What happened?
Stop.
Uh-oh. You know why that would have done that? Oh, darn. Tie it back in.
Overkill. Where do you see the developers coming in? Are they just coming in from all over the place? Are they kind of local or no local, or is there such a thing?
Oh, there's not very many local left. There's most of it, they're national groups. We got all the big boys in now, Pulte and D.R. Horton, Toll Brothers, all those, they're all heavy in Collier
So
County.
when they come in, they have to go through this impact of what the traffic is like for everybody? I mean,
If
is
they
that a
change-
hurdle to pass?
If they change the zoning, they can always come in under straight zoning and just get a building permit and build. There's nothing else there. But changing the zoning is what's driving most of it, because most of them want to do a plain unit development that has a lot of refinement to it.